And I understand that nothing is more important in the ghetto than revenge. Revenge is king.
Yes.
Closest thing to God. Because the black man is willing to die about his ego.
You went viral when you broke into tears telling Lil Durk not to retaliate in King Von's death.
And I gotta say this, because some of y'all in this room, y'all might not see next year. Y'all might not see next week. And niggas ain't saying that to y'all because a lot of y'all niggas ain't got no fathers or none of that. To keep going, because I'm telling you, man, I can name 20, 30 niggas and my homies is dead. I'm here though. And I'm gonna say something that, like, this is documented. You know, I got a TED talk. I forgave my brother's killer. And I'm saying it to say this. Nigga that killed my brother. My brother died in my grandma's arms in the house that we grew up in. Telling you this some real man. If I ain't let that shit go, I won't be right here today. I won't be here for my niece and my nephews. Me and Gil won't be doing this. Y'all won't know me. I won't be able to go to this game.
You know, it was so emotional because Durk, he said, I need you to come here, right? He said, we could do it in Miami, whatever, but I need you to come here because I need you to talk to these. That's what he told me.
Okay, that changes everything.
Oh yeah, DDGotAPodcast.
So not even 3 days ago, we covered the Charleston White and Gillie the Kid beef feud, whatever you want to call it, where Charleston White has accused Gillie the Kid at least 3 or 4 times on camera publicly on large platforms of sacrificing his own son for money and fame, particularly the supposed $100 million contract that Gillie and Wallo signed just a few years back. And if you want to hear my opinion surrounding the whole topic and situation, check out this video here. But particularly for this video, I want to talk about what I covered towards the end of that video, and that's the criticism that I've been giving Wallo and Gillie as people who are claiming to be very passionate about giving these youngsters $1 million worth of game, but in my opinion, they are actually a part of the same problem that they're claiming to fix. And I say that because they have these rappers and these celebrities to come on, and they are almost implementing themselves or making themselves a part of a beef that's happening in real life. And the number one example of that is the Lil Durk interview, which is one of the most demonic, disappointing, and cringe-worthy intros to a podcast I've ever seen. It's them rapping along the lyrics along with Lil Durk and like 50 other people from Chicago, of lyrics of real people that's been unalive. These are people's brothers, cousins, uncles, sons that they're rapping along and dancing to and celebrating along with Lil Durk. I don't support it. I've never supported it. And they've done other things on their podcast that I think is contributing to the problem instead of helping. Anyways, I received a lot of backlash, but one thing that I did give Wallo credit for was the maybe 5 to 10 minute stretch he took during that episode where he broke down in tears, almost pleading with Lil Durk and the other men in that room not to retaliate on behalf of King Von and to let the street beef go, because he had to do the same thing because his brother was unalived many years ago, and it was the best decision that he made to forgive his brother's killer. Well, anyways, I received a lot of backlash for that video. Believe it or not, if you go to the comment section, a lot of people was not rocking with that. However, I will say that he just recently went on to the Shannon Sharp podcast, just like Gillie did, and he was asked about this whole situation. And it's very interesting what he said. So without further ado, we're going to take a listen to what he said. But before we do, if you're new to the show, please know we're thirsty to grow and to drink some of this water. You can help me out by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. But don't worry, I'm going to give you a second to do that. Help me out. Just hit that like button for me. I'm going to give you a sec. I'm going to wait. All right, thank you. Without further ado, let's take a listen.
You went viral when you broke into tears telling Lil Durk not to retaliate in King Von's death.
You know, it was so emotional because Durk, he said, I need you to come here, right? He said, we could do it in Miami, whatever, but I need you to come here because I need you to talk to these. That's what he told me. He said, I need you to talk to him, Wallo. I need you to talk to him. I said, all right, I got him. And
let me just pause. I'm gonna let it play out, but let's just think about that for a second. Because in the last video, I said that part of Lil Durk's almost, doing the song with J. Cole, My Life, and getting the key to the city, which has now been rescinded. He no longer has the key to the city of Chicago, which I don't know why he got it to begin with. But it was almost like an attempt, in my opinion, to clean up his image. And I wonder if this is part of it. But I also wonder from a different perspective, let's just consider something. Why would Lil Durk ask Wallo to come to Chicago to talk to the men that's around him? It almost, a lot of you all may not agree with this, and it may be a stretch, because at the end of the day, Lil Durk is responsible for Lil Durk. I get that. But I almost wonder if he did that because he felt peer pressure from a lot of people that's around him to retaliate on behalf of King Von. So maybe if they got on a large platform, it's almost an excuse or a scapegoat for Lil Durk to have a reason not to do something because he know that Wallo is going to try to encourage them to be on a straight path. I don't know. It's just an idea. Y'all hop in the comment section and let me know what you think, but I'm just throwing it out there.
When I get there, I didn't know it was going to be that many. It was like 100 of them. We in the basement in Chicago. It's 100 of them.
And them niggas, they ready to ride?
Yeah, no, they just was there,
Okay, they want to hear what you wanted to say.
No, it wasn't even that. They didn't even know why they was there. Durk was like, we going to do it in the hood.
Okay.
I want you to holler at them, boom, boom,
Okay.
boom. So I'm like, I got you. When I got there, I'm like, he like, man, listen, I need you to holler at him. It just so happened that when I'm talking to him, I understand, because I'm talking to a couple of them on the side, and I understand that nothing is more important in the ghetto than revenge. Revenge is king.
Yes.
Closest thing to God. Because the black man is willing to die about his ego. The ego killed more black men than any other disease. Nothing killed black men more than the ego. That ego of, you hit me, Shannon, people saw it, I can't let you go. You got to die about this. And my mama raised me, so I grew up soft. I ain't had no structure of no father there. So I'm just emotional. So when I'm in there, I'm telling them, it was emotional for me because I'm letting them know, the man that killed my brother, I forgave him. Am I a coward? Am I a punk? Well, I don't know what that shit means.
See, but saying that right there throws me off. Am I a coward? You know that's not what that means, bro. You know that means that it takes maturity. It takes discipline. It takes almost, it takes courage to be able to ignore that, to be able to not retaliate. It takes a lot. You got to dig deep within. You know that doesn't make you a coward. And I want to point this out because maybe Wallo really don't understand that at his age, even at his age. But I'd like to understand at 30 years old, I know all of us are not the same. We don't have the same experiences. But if I can sit here at 30 years old, I'm sure you can sit at 47, however old Gillo is, pushing 50. You know this is a great opportunity to tell the young men, you are not a coward. Young black men, if you are listening, you are not a coward because you're not retaliating. You are not a coward because you want to do better in your life. You are not a coward because you don't want to sell drugs. You are not a coward because you don't want to live a criminal lifestyle. You are not a coward because you don't want to participate in the gang culture. You are not a coward because you want better for yourself. You are not a coward. And this is a great opportunity to say that.
But I knew that forgiving him mean that I was willing to live for my brother in an environment where we celebrate dying for somebody. I said, no, I'm going to live for my brother, my grandma, my brother, kids, my mama. I'm going to live for them because don't nobody talk about that. But I know that I'm going to just be straight up. I know that I'm not built to die right now because I know it's more things that I got to do. And I know I got a responsibility. That was my older brother. You think what I'm saying? So It's like, I got to step up. I got to be a man. So I got to think as a man would think, not as a street would think, that would die about his ego and leave his babies, leave his mama, tear down the community about the ego. My ego wasn't built like that. I wasn't that strong to have that type of ego.
Durk said, this mofo really dropping tears for this ish. Do you feel like he heard what you were saying? Do you feel like the guy, not only did they listen, because a lot of times people listen to respond, but did they listen to understand what you were saying?
Before Wallo speaks, let me just say no. I know what I just said earlier about Durk, but let me say something. When I was watching that interview live, and I remember when Durk was like, man, this mofo really crying tears on this.
Sure. Because I forgave my brother Killer, but I understand. I understand what y'all going through. But I love all you young niggas in here. And I mean that shit. I love you niggas, man. And I hope y'all make it out. I hope y'all make it out, man.
And he like
straight up, man.
It's so crazy. He really dropping tears for this, like shit for real. Like
I love being around the young niggas because, like, you don't understand. Y'all niggas got so much life, and y'all probably don't understand because y'all young. But this system and the way this structure is so scared of y'all because they saying if these niggas ever turn that light cut on in their head, we in trouble because they the most fearless that ever walked the planet Earth. These young black brothers in the ghetto.
Like, it felt so weird. It almost felt like, in my opinion, like he was teasing Wallo. Which reminds me, yesterday I was actually asked by older guys in my life. They said, what do you think about that situation? And I was like, I felt like Wallo was really trying to, reach them. And they said, yeah, man, but Wallo just do too much crying for me. And these are older black men talking to me. They was like, he just do too much crying. Like, I was telling my wife the other day when he was talking, I'm like, man, if that dude crying again, man, turn it off. Like, cry behind closed doors. I understand to an extent where they coming from with that, because if you always crying, it may be harder to reach some men. But I think that vulnerability is important, especially if it's what you truly feel. Now, if you're doing it for performative purposes, that's different. But if you really crying because you really lived this, which in his case he has, because he lost a brother who apparently died in his mom's arms, it hits different. I get it. But I personally don't think it reached Durk. I think Durk almost was trolling Wallo, because if a grown man is willing to cry in a room full of strangers to try to reach them because he sees himself in them, why would you make a comment like that? It's such a tone-deaf situation. To me, with $1 million in cash sitting there on the table, to me it felt like that was an inside joke, and that's probably something they laughed about after the fact. Like, man, this mofo really crying, bro. We ain't trying to hear none of that. So it almost like you asked him to come there though, Durk, and you make a comment like that. It's a bit contradictory to me.
I hollered at a lot of them afterwards. Someone would call me. It's not about them listening, it's about conditioning. It's about environmental. You can listen to everything that I say, but a lot of time, as I'm still growing, I don't have the resources to remove you from the danger that you're up against every day. A lot of things these young brothers, they do here, they smart. A lot of them are smart. But their environment don't allow them to grow, because I can't move out of this environment right here. And I know them dudes down them block, they want to kill me. I got to protect myself. I want to kill. So it's deep. We tell these kids a lot of things. And all we do is criticize young black male every way possible. We criticize them as much as possible, but we don't bring no resources. You know how many people make money off of just criticizing us and talking down on not just us, it's black people. Mm-hmm. But they don't got no, okay, you criticizing us. You got all these gigantic platforms. What we doing is cool, Shannon, but they got huge media platforms where they just want to tear the people down in the black community, but they ain't coming up with no solution and they ain't bringing no funding.
Now, before we get to the funding piece, let me just say I second what he just said. I understand, I get it. But here's where it becomes very, very interesting. It's the age-old conversation around environment. And I remember hearing for the first time, actually, when I first started this podcast, because so-called black culture was one of the biggest driving forces in reaching young men as to why I started this podcast almost 5 years ago. And what I heard somebody say one time on the podcast, I interviewed my buddy Tim Campbell, and he said, don't be a product of your environment, be a product of your decision making. And saying that in a room full of black folks, a lot of times, they feel like that's a conservative talking point. They feel like that's rooted in racism. They feel like it's rooted in white supremacy. Nah, it's rooted in responsibility, not white supremacy. Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens in your life, you're still responsible for you, right? On a spiritual level, from a religious level, on a physical level, from a financial perspective, all of it, it's still going to fall back on you. You're still responsible for you, right? So I understand Chicago is a whole different beast. I understand why a person like a King Von is how he is. But at some point, how do you change? How do you step away? What do you do to better yourself? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that the system don't deserve blame, right? I'm not saying that. But at some point, if somebody's trying to reach you, you got to make a point at some point in your life to try to better yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I just personally wonder if a person like Lil Durk, it almost seemed like a flex. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, like, and I want to say this before this video ends. One of the biggest things that stood out to me about this interview was how Wallo was talking about his purpose for living, how he wanted to live for his mom or his grandma and his brother's kids. It almost sounds like he understands a lot better than I do the lack of self-worth. It's like your life, the way that they're talking, the Wallo was just speaking about how a lot of black men, how we see our lives and how we treat our lives. It's like we treat it like a video game. Like, all right, cool. If I get unalive because of my ego, I'll get another try. I got 2 more lives. It's like, no, that's it. Aren't you afraid of the pain? Aren't you afraid of not being here anymore? Aren't you afraid of not being able to take care of your family? Aren't you afraid of not growing old? Or it's like, once that self-worth is gone, bro, especially as a black man in this world, bro, nothing else matters. I've never known what it's like to feel like that. Y'all up in the comment section, let me know if you're a black man or you're not a black man. Do you feel like that? Can you relate to that mindset? Because I've never known what it's like to go about life as if I don't care if I live or die. Because I'm afraid of going to jail. I'm afraid of passing away, all of it. because I have so much more to offer to this world. Hop in the comment section and let me know what you all think. I appreciate you all for being here. I'm Demetrius. I go by DD. That's all for this, man. Until next time. Peace.
Oh yeah, DD got a podcast.